Now, if you ask the people who know and work with Janet Ingle, they'll tell you, oh, yes, she plays the oboe. But she'll tell you that the career she's created for herself is so much more. Jennet is also an entrepreneur, a teacher, a coach, an author, and a speaker. Her 2022 book, The Happiest Musician, encourages creatives to take agency in their lives and build their own portfolio careers instead of waiting to be chosen. Please welcome Janet Ingle with No Limits, How the Portfolio Career Expands Your Possibilities.
Let's dream a little. What are some jobs that you would really love that you're not qualified for, but you know you would have thrived in? Not what would you pivot to tomorrow, but what might you have liked in a different lifetime? Maybe you dream of being a stand-up comic or a carpenter or a detective. Let's say you're a kid with infinite time ahead of you, but you know what you know now. What would you want to be when you grow up? Here are mine: figure skater, Broadway actor, revival tent preacher, con artist. Obviously, these are impractical. I can't skate. I have no coordination. I'm not a crook, and I'm an atheist. So all of these choices are ridiculous, but they all involve being absolutely top-notch skilled in a very specific and niche world. They're all solo activities, activities where you stand or fall on your own skills. This is important to me. I'm no good at team sports because there is no I in team. All of these activities involve being on a stage of some sort, seen by masses, and all of these careers involve communication, right? Whether it's the preacher who's obviously giving a talk all the time, the con man who is breeding trust, crafting a connection between humans, even if it is an artificial connection. The ice skater who's communicating beauty, who is using her muscles, her highly trained athletic body to create not just spins and flips and twirls, but artistry and beauty in the world. These are all communications games. And it turns out that even though none of these jobs was my job, I am in the most perfect job I could possibly be in for me. I am a professional oboist, so I spend my days and my nights performing symphonic works. I am the conduit between the composer and the audience. My own muscles are finely honed to execute the precise fingerings, voicings, and dynamics that are called for. I'm the principal oboist of my orchestra, which means that I tune the whole orchestra and I get more solos than just about anyone else. I'm part of the orchestra, but also the leader of the wind section. It's perfect for me, right? Well, I was discouraged from going into music as a career. Now, that didn't take because I'm not easy to discourage, but I vividly remember my mother saying, "Won't you get bored? I know orchestral musicians who get really tired of playing the same pieces over and over again." Now, I was 18 years old. I was confident that I knew what was best for me. And because I had, after all, played at least 3 major symphonies by that point, and I knew that I would never get bored of the swoosh and the sense of flow that was live orchestral performance. I would never get tired of the endless struggle to improve, to problem solve, to get on top of the difficulties of my instrument, and I would never get tired of soloing. Flash forward 30 years. It turns out that we were both right. I do get bored of playing in the orchestra, doing the same pieces over and over with the goal of just not making mistakes. At a certain point, it's easy to be good enough to do your job, and the challenge kind of goes away. And while performances still have their magic, the day-to-day can feel endless and dull. But the career that I've made for myself is not a single orchestral job. It's a plethora of activities that all relate to the oboe and came from the oboe, but also relate to me. This started out small. I was out of music school and working survival jobs to get by. I was making my own oboe reeds, which is another very niche skill. And I started a very small reed making business, which over the next 20 years, I grew to 6 figures. I was teaching some private students, and I gradually got better at both teaching and at attracting excellent students to me, so that after a long stint of adjunct college jobs, which are for the birds, and individual middle schoolers coming to my house for lessons, which is also kind of for the birds, I pivoted to teaching only adults and only online. So now I work with oboists on 3 continents on their playing and their reed making, and I love all of the people I work with. Along the way, I started a blog, a YouTube channel, a short lived tarot reading business. And during the pandemic, I wrote and published my book, The Happiest Musician. I have a podcast now, also interviewing other creative trailblazers, and I coach musicians to step into their own careers. I do so many different things, in other words, all things that I love to do. And all of these jobs are ones that I created for myself, ones that I can decide how I want to run, ones that I could stop if I wanted. What I have is a portfolio career in which the money always comes from somewhere, and I can freely follow the passions that I have and the directions that my creativity leads me in. For you, then, please take a look at your own list of dream jobs. Remember that prompt from 5 minutes ago? What is the rhyme between those? What are the connecting threads? What aspects of them light you up? And do you want to be more visible than you are now? More creative? More self-paced? And what is in your life now, already, now that scratches that itch? Do you want more of it? Or what do you want less of? There's no one job that is perfect for you. I'll say that again. There is no one job that is perfect for you. Everyone needs a job because everyone needs money, but a job doesn't need every piece of you. It may require only a narrow sliver of the magic that is you. Once upon a time, we as a society had judgy feelings about the actor slash waiter or the bartender slash playwright. Like, when are they going to grow up and get a real job? When will they stop kidding themselves? Once upon a time, the marker of adulthood was one real, legitimate, single paycheck job, working for one real employer. Bonus points if your grandma had heard of this employer. But the problem with that is that people are more interesting and creative than this one life, one job system. There's almost certainly not one job out there in the world that can fulfill all of your financial needs and also nurture your creativity and use all of the essential, exciting parts of you that deserve to be seen and heard. If you're hired to make widgets, but you also play the electric guitar, the man is not going to want to pay you for that or even know about it. Even if you're in a creative career, if you play the electric guitar for your living, but you also love spreadsheets and organization or short story writing, there's not a traditional job that pays you for all of those things. But you are a whole person, more complete and more interesting than the widget making side of yourself. If you aren't defined by your job, you get to define yourself. You get to say, I'm a teacher dash stand-up comic. I'm a writer dash podcaster dash marketer. I'm a widget maker dash wedding photographer. The hyphenated job description bespeaks an interesting human. And whether all of those elements in your life are monetized or not, they all have a place in your life if you want them to. When you lean into this way of thinking, you no longer have to be all or nothing with an employer, and you don't have to be all or nothing with your creativity either. So, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm not saying that you can pivot from here to like being an astronaut. That isn't the game we're playing. But what is it that fascinates you about that? Is it the math and the engineering? Is it the adventure? Is it the puffy suit? How could you have more of that for yourself next year or even right now? I am an oboist. I have been an oboist since I was 10 years old. My entire career is built around this instrument, and I identify with that role. I really don't get tired of being the oboe on stage. But you'll notice that I am talking to you with no instrument in my hand. I am not the oboe any more than you are the spreadsheet or the law or the herbs. I am myself, and the connecting threads of my career are all me, and you could do this too. You are not limited, and your artistry matters.
Oh, Jenna, you've given us so much to think about.